Hello fellow Clashers, this is KairosTime, and if you are new to my channel, welcome to the family. Go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button if you enjoyed this video. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about the Tornado, and I'm going to give you a couple of decks that actually work pretty well with the Tornado. Now before we get to that, I did want to let you know that the Kairos clans are currently recruiting, so if you're interested in joining the Kairos Kingdom, go ahead and click on the link in the description below for our application. Now pay close attention to right here how I use that Tornado to pull that bowler behind the tower so that my prince can get some damage on the tower. That is one of the best ways to use the Tornado that I have found right now. It's very applicable even in real life matches. It's not too hard to pull off as long as you practice with it and can get your timing right. This deck utilizes the Tornado very well by allowing you to both push the troops closer to the enemy tower using the log, and then also pull them using the Tornado behind the enemy tower or to the opposite lane so that your prince can actually get to the tower and do some damage. Now one thing that I really like about the Tornado is that it is not an easy card to use. It does take some practice to learn how to use it, and even just a little misplacement can actually cost you a lot of damage onto your tower's health. Now that being said, I love this type of a card because it adds a lot to the control playstyle. Recently we've been seeing a lot of siege decks, and we've seen a lot of beatdown decks kind of control the meta a little bit, and it's been difficult for the control deck style to actually to come in and actually thrive. Now this deck actually, or the Tornado, allows decks like this to be able to be really successful. You see that Tornado just pulling everything back behind the tower. It works so well. Now that does come with a lot of practice, so one of the best things that you can do is join some type of a challenge or a tournament and get some practice using the Tornado so that you can actually learn how to use it in live battle when it really counts. This deck is actually a lot of fun. I love this deck because of how many counters it has to frequently use cards. We have the Hog Rider, which is going to be able to try and get to the tower really well. You have the log, which is going to clear things like tombstones or other defensive troops like the skeleton army, and then you also have the fireball that's going to clear things like the barbarians and even the minion horde. And finally you have that Tornado. Now the Tornado is really great. It doesn't completely clear a minion horde, but it does clear the skeleton army for an equal cost. You can use it to pull the princess onto your side of the battlefield so that your tower can actually reach that princess and take her out. I did want to let you know that this deck just destroys Lava Hound decks. I haven't had any issues with Lava Hound decks because of the control that it offers and because of how fast paced it is. If you keep on placing down that Hog Rider and that Prince, there's no way your opponent's going to be able to build up a big enough push to stop you. This next deck is a really fun one. Instead of using the Prince, what we have in here is we have the Giant Skeleton. Now this deck utilizes the Giant Skeleton as the primary win condition. That's not something I would normally try to do, except for using that Tornado. You can pull your Giant Skeleton closer to your opponent's tower by using the Tornado to pull enemy troops closer to their tower. That Giant Skeleton doesn't necessarily have to be locked onto the enemy tower. It just has to be close enough to get that bomb to explode on the enemy tower and take out a massive chunk of damage. That being said, it does take a little bit of practice, and so one of the best things that you can do is try and build up that elixir advantage with those elixir collectors. And then of course you do have the Tornado in there in case your opponent has a miner. That means that you can use the Tornado to pull the miner over to your King's Tower and lock it onto that. Since messing around with this deck, I've actually realized that it is pretty weak to air, and so what I recommend doing is switching those fire spirits for the minions, or even the mega minion if you really want to. That's a really great way to make this deck a little bit more rounded and better able to face a lot of different types of decks. Also, since this replay, I've messed around with using the P.E.K.K.A. as well, and the P.E.K.K.A. actually works really well with the Tornado because the P.E.K.K.A. gets so easily distracted. You can use a Tornado to pull those distraction troops closer to the enemy tower so that the P.E.K.K.A. is more likely to lock onto that tower. Plus, if you're wanting a little bit more control, you can actually switch out that Ice Golem for the Zap. Now that's going to give you 3 different spells, but the reason why I say that is because the Ice Golem does do a little bit of damage to air troops and things like that when he explodes, but I found that it's a little bit more difficult to try and control that, so using the Zap gets a little bit more damage on defending troops, and then you can also use the Tornado to try and finish it off. Here you see what I'm trying to do is a double giant skeleton combo. If you can cycle back to the giant skeleton and play 2 giant skeletons, it's a very difficult combination to stop. See right there, it's so hard to stop 2 giant skeletons, and I'm actually about ready to cycle to another one. This deck is a lot of fun. I highly recommend messing around with it. You can use the Tornado in a lot of different ways to just have a lot of fun. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this, everybody. I really appreciate all of the support that you've given me, both on YouTube and also in the comments. If you have any suggestions or questions, please add them in the comments. I read all of them. If you have any questions about the game, I would love to answer your questions, so please do so. This is KairosTime ticking by, and we will see you in the arena. If your opponent's going to be dropping some distraction troops so that your prince can actually get some damage done on the tower.